Today on the newscast, are Israel and Hezbollah moving towards war? Things are heating up rapidly to Israel's north. Get all the breaking details next. Hey folks, Eric Stakelbeck here. Welcome to the Watchman Newscast. Welcome to New York City. I am here at TBN's NYC studio filming an upcoming 1-hour special called The Rise of AI, Artificial Intelligence. Folks, it's a topic on everyone's minds right now, and we dig deep into the rise of AI on this upcoming special. It will air in August. Once we have the air date, we will get it to you. What are the biblical and prophetic implications of the rise of AI? Much more. We dig in with some leading experts, some Christian leaders. You will not want to miss that. In the meantime, things are also heating up. You could call it, I guess, the rise of Hezbollah in southern Lebanon. Now, in yesterday's Watchman Newscast live stream, we broke down what was breaking news: an attempted Hezbollah breach of the Israel-Lebanon security fence. We're going to break down all of this in a minute. Number one, what happened yesterday, what Sheikh Hassan Nasrallah, the leader of Hezbollah, is saying today, threats being levied of war towards Israel, and where this is all heading. In the meantime, before I do, just a quick reminder, of course, to subscribe to the Watchman News channel right here on YouTube and click the notification bell so you get alerts every time a new video is posted. Folks, things are indeed heating up to Israel's north, really throughout the region. The Middle East never sleeps, as you know if you watch this newscast on a regular basis. But to the north in particular, we are seeing things move in a very alarming direction. And we've talked a bunch here in the newscast in recent months about that coming great northern war, which will pit Israel against Hezbollah and the Iranian regime in Lebanon and in Syria. Of course, that entire ring of fire that surrounds Israel on all sides will ignite, I believe, in the event of this great northern war. Yes, the trigger will be sparked to the north, but we will have Hamas and Islamic Jihad to the south in Gaza, perhaps even the Houthis to the far south in Yemen, also throwing their hats in the ring, armed to the teeth with rockets, missiles, and attack drones that they will look to unleash. But in the meantime, we'll get into that in a minute. That coming war, and I hate to say it, folks, no one wants to see it, but we have common sense here on the Watchman News channel. We can see what's coming. It's pretty clear, and Israeli military officials and leaders have been talking about this for years. It's not a question of if, but when Israel will be forced to face off with Hezbollah. It is an intolerable situation for Israel to live with, to have Hezbollah, an entity funded, armed, supported, founded, created by the Iranian regime, at your northern doorstep with some 150,000 rockets and missiles, at least pointed at every inch of the world's one and only Jewish state. And by the way, increasing multitudes of those rockets and missiles are precision guided. Iran has been working to supply Hezbollah with that very advanced and lethal technology. Hezbollah also has tens of thousands of well-trained foot soldiers. And as you've seen here on the Watchman Newscast, we actually went inside and uncovered thankfully by the Israel Defense Forces, Hezbollah underground tunnel. Hezbollah has dug several of these tunnels from Lebanon underground into northern Israel. And folks, that is no coincidence. Sheikh Hassan Nasrallah, the leader of Hezbollah, has boasted that in this future war with Israel, Hezbollah will look to take territory in northern Israel, perhaps even towns in the upper Galilee. And you can only imagine the propaganda victory if even for 10 minutes, God forbid, Hezbollah was able to seize an Israeli town in northern Israel, plant that green and yellow Hezbollah flag, and beam the images worldwide. Obviously, that would be a propaganda coup for this lethal and very dangerous terrorist organization. Speaking of Hezbollah, encroaching on Israeli territory. We told you a few weeks ago about this small Hezbollah outpost that has been set up on the Israeli side of the Israel-Lebanon border. Now, Hezbollah set up 2 tents near Mount Dov, the Sheba Farms region, near a town called Gajar in northern Israel. Again, this is Israeli territory 2 tents were set up by Hezbollah with several Hezbollah members manning them. Now, Israel said, look, we can't obviously accept this to have a terrorist organization devoted to our destruction on our territory setting up shop. Sorry, non-starter. Israel so far has attempted to resolve this through the UN. And the UN kind of trying to mediate between Israel and Lebanon ultimately, because look, Lebanon obviously has a central government, a very weak central government, but nonetheless, that's who Israel, through back channels, they have no direct diplomatic relations, would speak to about Hezbollah, because Hezbollah operates on Lebanese soil and rules southern Lebanon with an iron fist. Most believe that Hezbollah is a more formidable fighting force than the regular Lebanese army and a more powerful political force in that country. You could say that Hezbollah, and by extension its masters in Tehran, are the most powerful force in Lebanon right now. So Israel's looking to resolve this somehow without having to resort to military force. Here's the problem. Sheikh Hassan Nasrallah said early this morning that, no, we're not leaving. Now, I preface this by saying about a week ago, apparently Hezbollah did take down one of the tents, but another tent that includes about 10 Hezbollah members is still standing on Israeli soil, on Israeli territory. And Nasrallah said today, no, we're not taking the tent down. Folks, he's essentially daring Israel to take action against this Hezbollah tent. And he's saying that his operatives have orders to attack Israel, to act if that tent is touched by the Israel Defense Forces. The mainstream media, surprise, surprise, I know you're shocked or not, is virtually ignoring this story. Folks, this is a potentially major confrontation we're looking at right now between Israel and Hezbollah. Yes, over a tent, but it's much deeper than that. In the Middle East, the smallest spark can set off a major wildfire in the region. We know that very well, and this could escalate into something that's unforeseen right now in the likes of the mainstream media and diplomatic circles here in the West, where I'm sitting. Nasrallah says, we're not going. We're leaving the tent up. Israel says, oh, no, you're not. Where is this heading? Are we on a collision course right now on the Israel-Lebanon border? By the way, that brings us to yesterday, the 17-year anniversary. I remember covering this 17 years ago of the Second Lebanon War between Israel and Hezbollah, a very bloody affair where Hezbollah took some major lumps. And that's why you've seen Hezbollah largely, not entirely, but largely holding its fire over the past 17 years, because Israel truly unleashed a barrage against Hezbollah forces in that war. But yesterday, Hezbollah was commemorating July 12th, 2006, and the outbreak of that war. And Nasrallah made comments surrounding that, of course, threatening Israel. But some troubling signs yesterday on that 17-year anniversary of the outbreak of that war, which lasted for several weeks, by the way. 3 Hezbollah operatives, as we reported on yesterday's live stream, 3 Hezbollah operatives attempted to breach the Israel-Lebanon security fence. Now, they were warded off, thankfully, after the Israel Defense Forces set off a non-lethal explosive device. So they fled once that went off. Who knows what they were planning to do at that fence. Secondly, near the northern Israeli town of Metula, also alongside the border, Hezbollah fighters, operatives were setting off fireworks and setting fires all along the border. Israeli forces fired into the air to disband them. You might say, okay, big deal. They were causing a ruckus on the border a little bit, but it's much deeper than that, folks, because this fits a pattern. And on this program, in the region, in the Middle East, the world's most volatile and strategic region, we observe patterns. And this is trending in a very dangerous direction. The events, Nasrallah's comments, number one, threatening war. Number two, the tent madness going on right now with Hezbollah setting up shop on Israeli territory. Number three, the attempts to breach the Israel-Lebanon border by Hezbollah yesterday. This all comes on the heels of some major incidents we discussed here in the newscast in the past few months. Take it back to March 2023, where a Hezbollah operative crossed the border into northern Israel and planted a bomb a large bomb, a powerful explosive device at Megiddo Junction. Thankfully, it was not heavily trafficked at that time like it normally would be. This could have been a mass casualty event. One Israeli was injured. That's bad enough. Secondly, in April, right around Passover, there were dozens of rockets launched from southern Lebanon, Hezbollah's power base. Now, Hezbollah, with, they say, plausible deniability, I call it implausible, they allowed Hamas to operate in southern Lebanon and launch those rockets. And then Hezbollah says, hey, we didn't do it. We can't control everything that happens in southern Lebanon. Well, folks, let me tell you, everything that happens in that region happens under the very watchful and supportive eye of Hezbollah. So what do we see? What's the pattern we see? This is trending towards confrontation. I think that's pretty clear. Hezbollah has had 17 years to plan, to prep, to rearm, and they've taken their arsenal to unheard of levels for a terrorist organization. This is more than a terror group. This is essentially a terrorist army, a terrorist paramilitary organization. It's one of the most powerful fighting forces in the entire Middle East, and it has state backing. Again, a creation of the Iranian regime, closely aligned with the other members of that ring of fire, Hamas, Islamic Jihad, the Houthis, and the various Shia militias. So what do we have right now? Clearly, folks, I believe it's a collision course, and we have Israeli officials debating right now internally, what do we do? Number one, what do we do about this tent? Do we take military action to disband this tent and get these Hezbollah members out of our territory? That's number one. There's got to be a day of reckoning there. Will Hezbollah pack up the tent and go home peacefully? Perhaps, if they get nervous enough about the potential Israeli response, but Nasrallah seems to be digging in his heels, so we'll be watching that closely. But at the end of the day, an unsustainable, intolerable situation for Israel to have an entity devoted to your destruction at your northern doorstep, armed to the teeth, and with the intent to use that arsenal eventually. Again, folks, it's a question not of if Hezbollah and Israel will go to war, but when. No one wants to see it, but we have to be realistic about the situation. We know where this is heading. We know what Hezbollah wants and its master, Iran, wants. How can Israel live under such a scenario? It cannot. So we see the collision course coming. I believe it will have major prophetic implications and line things up, this great northern war, for a future conflict. I'm talking in particular about the war of Gog and Magog, which is laid out in the book of Ezekiel, chapters 38 and 39. Here's the good news as we go. God Almighty still, yes, still, sits on the throne. He is the God of Israel, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And when it comes to his land and his people, he neither slumbers nor sleeps. Take heart. Be encouraged. Evil forces can devise their schemes, but the book of Psalms says that God watches and he laughs. So be encouraged. Hey, thanks so much for joining us here today from New York City. Until tomorrow, God bless you. And remember, never hold your peace. Hey everyone, thanks for checking out the Watchman Newscast. Make sure you hit the subscribe button so you never miss an upload, and tap the bell icon so you're notified every time a new video is posted. And don't forget to share your thoughts, insights, and comments below. Thanks for watching. We'll see you back here tomorrow.